There it is, right? I think it's
Yeah. Now I guess we're officially official.
It's kind of hard to see since we're broadcasting from across the room. So I like to mix up our position every week. You'll never know where we're sitting in the room. But anyway, welcome back to another Last Call podcast. My name is Mikey T. I'm joined again by Mike Stewart, jiu-jitsu extraordinaire.
No. Crappy, mediocre jiu-jitsu instructor.
I will always introduce you as some outlandish description like that.
I brought you something again. I'm not gonna ice you this time. I'm not gonna ice you this time. This is
okay.
This is an actual another real gift.
Oh, nice. Hell yeah. I like that.
I brought you the rash guard last time.
I have it over there, and I have the in the podcast where I'm over by my computer. You can see your.
That's fucking rad.
Tristan, of course, is here phoning in and from the great state of Ohio.
Hello, I am here, buried in snow, but here.
His room is looking more and more like an actual room every
It's coming together. It's coming together bit by bit. I got my swords on the floor still. They need to hang on the wall, but I have a small sword collection that's dangerously on the floor where toddlers play. But you know, that's neither here nor there.
What do you have, like the master sword and stuff? I should probably just look.
No, it's like there's like a
Hold it up.
Yeah, just bust out a sword real quick.
Yeah, that'll be a good way to start.
It's like a costume sword. It was a gift years ago. And then this is a wooden sword from when I was a child.
I had one of those.
Is that from your LARPing days?
Well, no, from being a child.
They do LARPing.
And a foam replica of the Master Sword. It may have been involved in a Halloween costume. I don't really know.
Nice. You said they do LARPing near your house?
If you ever want to go, I'll try to figure out when they do it at Gambra Fire Hall. They do actual live action role play for those that don't know what LARPing is. People get in the full gear.
Like in role models.
Yeah, like role models, beating the tar out of each other with these big PVC things wrapped in tape and all this stuff. I mean, it's like pretty violent.
I bet it's a shit ton of fun.
I would love to do it. People make fun of it, but you know what? It does look like fun.
Because I guarantee you, we'll say like 5 years away from that being to the acceptance level that video games have become.
I would go this weekend, zero irony. I would go and like somebody got me like a costume and like a foam weapon. I would go just for I'm just making fun of them. I would go and I would have a shitload of fun.
I think I would have almost too much fun, and I have a feeling I would probably do okay.
Yeah,
and I'd probably smash some people and then maybe get in trouble.
Well, that's what I'm thinking. I'm sure there are some people.
There has to be rules
that are really like they know how to sword fight and everything, and then the rest are probably just people that like Renaissance fairs and stuff.
Yeah.
So I can imagine there's a solid chunk that you can just beat on athleticism.
I have a video buried on my Facebook somewhere because me and my wife were driving by and I'm like, LARPing. We're leaving my parents' house and she's like, what? How do you even know what this is? And I like pulled in and I'm like sitting there watching them and I'm like intrigued and I'm like filming them and she's like, don't film. I'm like, this is what they want. Like they want people to watch. Like they got to, right?
I would think.
I don't know. It was very entertaining. I'll say that.
The like next level
you
up.
You can cast spells and you have like it's like a video game character. Like you can get
lightning
like ranked.
Lightning bolt.
So like your hit if you're like a high ranked dude, I think means more. Yeah, the lightning bolt. You've seen those videos. Like in the woods.
That's where they lose me. That's where like I start to get lost a little bit. Like I like spells.
I'm kind of with you there.
Apparently that's more uncommon. Like that's not the standard LARPing. Like it's more traditionally it's just melee weapons and that sort of stuff. And there's like armor counts for something that might get you another hit or something. But
and they have like MMA fights now, like in Europe and Japan, where it's like an MMA fight and they have like body armor and they're fighting like, in a cage and they're like hitting each other. It's pretty interesting.
I've seen that, or where it's essentially medieval combat.
Yes,
that shit's nuts. So I don't know.
I have a friend who's into these large scale airsoft engagements.
Yes, I've seen those too.
You know, so he just went to one. There was like thousands of people at it. I forget exactly how many. I think it was like 2,000 people. They're divided into armies. Like they showed the map and they're taking territory from one another. And there's all kinds of, there's cannons and there's weapons. Like it's kind of like Civil War reenacting, except I guess kind of taken up to another notch. That looks like fun to me too. I don't know.
Well, my thing is this, like, you know, because I mean, we're talking about the bullying thing today, right?
Yeah.
And I feel like people get made fun of for, like, you know, the things that aren't as mainstream, like that, video games for so long, like computer games, like it's fringe, you know, so it's easy to pick on something that you don't understand, you know. But my thing is, dude, do whatever the hell makes you happy, you know.
Yeah, do your thing. Yeah, I agree.
As long as you're being responsible in your own life, and you know, at the end of the day, like if you don't have any kids and that's what you want to do and you want to spend all your money doing that, I mean, if it makes the dude happy, go do it, you know.
What's still really fringe? What's on the fringe that like still is weird, that even you look at and you're like, nah, you guys are kind of fucking weird?
I think that people look at martial arts like that still, to an extent. Not as much. It's become much more mainstream with the popularity of UFC and bigger grappling events and things like this, the internet, people demystifying. But like in martial arts, there's some weird, very weird stuff that it's like I can't even get down with.
I just can't believe the bullshit martial arts are still around. Like
dumbass martial arts. Look them up on Facebook. I love those guys. And also Bullshido. And that's where my friend Neil. My God, they're like the best, because it shows. We'll get into that because it has very much to do with the whole bullying thing, and those sorts of people are attracted, you know, when someone's been a victim of trauma, they're a lot of times looking for something. And if that's the first thing they find, this guy's a black belt, man, he's showing all this cool stuff and he knows energy powers. Man, I don't even have to touch it. I don't even have to fight. I don't even have to touch a guy. That's attracted to someone that's scared of physical contact.
Yeah.
And now they think that they're basically a wizard. And they don't even have to touch anyone in a fight. It's all that chi energy stuff.
Right back to lightning bolt.
Yeah, it's the same thing. It's the same thing, except it's if you
so much more dangerous.
And it's interesting because me, as a, you know, someone that's teaching a legitimate style, you know, and we talked last time, the legitimate martial arts out there, they're easy to find. It's easy to find a good boxing gym, a Thai gym, judo school, Brazilian jiu-jitsu school. And, you know, when we call these guys out and we're like, man, you're really like lying to the public about this, and you are preying on, you know, people that have some confidence deficiencies. Maybe they've been a survivor of some sort of trauma. We call them out and we're like, man, this is nonsense. We get called the bully. It's like a phenomenon of like when you're right, like I like you lose, I lose an argument because you're like a black belt in trolling, right? So I lose. I'll give Mikey a coral belt, because in jiu-jitsu, black, then coral belt, red belt is grandmaster. Mike is knocking on the door of like grandmaster red belt troll level. He's there, and people will lose an argument. You're bullying me, bro.
Yeah,
they'll lose. Oh man, this guy's a dick. He's bullying me. Or maybe you were just wrong.
But I've said it in the past. If I find out that somebody's not going to listen to, because I like to argue, like have an actual argument and discuss with somebody. That's what I prefer. But if somebody's not going to give me that, I'll bully them. I mean, flat out. That's really what I'm doing. I'll attack them personally and shut them down into whatever. Call me a terrible person. I probably am, but I don't know. At that point, they're not going to learn anything from it.
I don't think. But here's the thing. That's
benefit.
What is okay? So let's talk about this, because
let's jump right in.
You asked the question.
All right. So the reason we're talking about all this stuff is what's the name of the kid? Keaton
Jones.
Sorry. The viral video going around. Actually, let's turn over the sound. So the viral video going around of the kid talking about being bullied, and it seems like he's sort of being led along by his mom with the questioning and stuff like that. And the initial response was everybody goes nuts, saying how terrible bullying is and how could they do this to this kid, and all these celebrities are reaching out, trying to offer all these experiences for the kid, and it's generally happy. And then they find out the mom is a racist, and then everybody
allegedly,
yeah, well, she's probably a racist, but that shouldn't matter, because that's not the kid. The kid's still getting bullied either way. The kid's not faking tears or give that kid an Oscar because he.
But let's look at it. The fact that the parents are very racist inevitably rubs off on the children. So for all we know, he could have dropped the N-bomb on some kid in school, and then at that point, I mean, if you say that, if you get punched in the face and you're using language like that to really like hurt people, I don't have a ton of sympathy for you, you know?
And I would agree. And there was one report that's gone out saying
allegedly,
essentially saying
allegedly,
that.
This is the internet.
Yeah. So
you know?
The problem is
they have all these pictures of the mom with the kid. It could be not even his mom.
Yeah.
There was a report that came out. There was a pro UFC fighter that like offered, and there was like a thread going.
Yeah.
And she said something like, "Us whites need to stick together against the predators," and that went viral. But then I heard allegedly
that I don't know how much.
I heard that was made from a fake account. So there's so much fake shit out there, fake news, bro. It's out there, and that's why, if you notice, I didn't mention anything about that situation at all. Even though, like, I specialize in helping kids that have been bullied, and adults that have been survivors of traumatic situations and have been bullied their lives throughout their lives. I didn't say anything because we don't know all the facts. We still don't know all the facts, and
that's the hardest thing to find on the internet. You can find lots of information. It's often very difficult to find correct information, verifiable information.
Absolutely. I will say this. I have kids. Tristan, it sounds like you have kids. You have a kid.
Yep.
If you're the type of person that uses your child having a meltdown, crying, and you're filming it and you're putting it out there for the world to see, you might be a piece of shit. Because
I would agree with that.
Because I made a post the other day because my son had a really rough jiu-jitsu class. He's crying and stuff like that. And someone was like, well, you should have posted a video of him crying so people can see. And I'm like, he's already like in a really bad mood right now.
Yeah.
And think about you as an adult. If you're crying, right, and you're having like a heart-to-heart with me, and I'm like, okay, Mikey, let's see how you feel about this, right. Blah blah blah. It's like, yo, dude, are you my friend? Like, do you care about me? Or are you trying to get more likes? You trying to get more views? You trying to get more people to jump on that GoFundMe account? You trying to get attention from celebrities? Are you trying to? What is the motive? That's my question. I don't agree with filming your kid when they're struggling with something. You're exploiting them at that point.
Yeah, they came at it from a rough start to begin with, and then all the other allegations coming out, and some of which have been confirmed.
And I feel bad for the kid. I feel bad for the kid Keaton. Don't get me wrong, but I don't feel bad for him if we went to the school and he dropped the N-bomb on some kid in the lunchroom and he got punched in the face and they dumped milk on his head. You deserve that. Now you won't do it again because you were being a bully. You got checked. That kid's not a bully now. You got checked. Game over. It's like they cancel each other out. That's the biggest crap I hear all the time as a jiu-jitsu instructor. I bring a kid in who's getting tormented. We turn them into a capable person that can defend themselves. They defend themselves against this kid. Now you're the bully. Now you're the bully. Because a lot of times, bully is the new word for like winner. I feel like a lot of times, like,
Whoa. I mean, I get where you're saying. I get what you're saying. That does happen sometimes.
It's gone that far sometimes, is what I'm saying.
But I hate to. Let's not cast the bullies of the world as good people. Like, oh, the bullies are just the ones who have the skill set.
I'm not advocating that.
The world is full of pieces of shit, and the label we have for them is bully. And what you're saying is correct, but I get where you're going with that. I just shudder when we attach the word winner to the word bully.
I agree. I agree that the world is full of pieces of shit, because if it wasn't, I wouldn't have a job.
Right. Yeah.
Pretty accurate.
And I'm not by any means saying that like, okay, like I'm dominating another person. I'm being a piece of shit. I'm hurting another person. I'm the winner. I'm not a bully. No, you absolutely are. But you have to understand that one of the definitions of the bully is that it's chronic behavior. I tell the kids all the time, like, well, a kid pushed me, he's a bully. If pushing is an indicator of being a bully, then every kid in the whole goddamn world is a bully, right?
Sure.
If calling names makes you a bully, every human being in the history of humans is a bully. It's when it's a chronic, repeated behavior that you've asked the person to stop doing what they're doing and they won't stop, or they're chronically doing it to others when they've been asked to stop. And of course, we have a giant problem with that.
So let me ask you this. So at your school, you're teaching young kids, school-age kids, I assume?
Yes.
So when somebody is school age, right? I mean, the problem these days is, you know, a lot of schools have these zero tolerance policies, right? Like if there is an incident of violence, typically both people are suspended or at the very least disciplined in a pretty severe way. And in the worst cases, in places where the regulations are tight enough, both people get expelled.
This is correct. And it's very tight now, especially Howard County where we're at right now.
I believe it. And it's a tough position, I think, for somebody who is a victim.
And it's a tough position for the teachers too, because they don't necessarily agree with it, but it's their policy. They don't have a choice if they want to keep their job.
So as an instructor, as a third party in this scenario, how are you teaching these kids to deal with these scenarios? I mean, you're giving these kids skill sets to be able to deal with these things in a physical way. And hopefully a byproduct of that is giving them the confidence to be able to overcome these situations without leading to violence.
And that's the ultimate goal.
Right. That's the ultimate goal. So I guess I'm just asking you, take me through your talk track a little bit with how you talk to these kids, you know, because obviously you don't want them their response being to put a guy in a chokehold. You know, how do you give them these skills without giving them the intent to use them?
Great question.
It's got to be a hard thing.
No, and it is. And I have to give some credit to Gracie Academy headquarters, Henry and Hiron Gracie, who created the Gracie Bully Proof system. Although we are not like one of their, affiliates, we're under Helson Gracie. They really have done a lot of the research and a lot of the, the verbal jujitsu, as we call it, figuring out what works and what doesn't. So basically the system that they use is called the 3 T's: talk, tell, tackle, right? You try and talk to the kid, you try and reason with them, but not just saying, hey, like, I don't want to fight you. Hey, like, please don't call me that. This sort of language does not really resonate with an aggressive type kid. And you have no idea what kind of background this kid's coming from. So we tell them, when they use the words, to say a couple things. And the first thing is that I'm not afraid of you. All right. I'm not afraid of you. The second thing is that I know how to fight, or I know how to defend myself. The third thing is that I'm ready to go. And the fourth thing is, so are you challenging me? Right. So basically what we're saying without saying it is, like, I know how to scrap. And if you put your hands on me, like, I'm going to murk you. Right. But you can't say that, because then you're the bully. Yeah. So we put it in a context where it's like, okay, role play a little bit. Mikey calls me a name. He pushes me. I say, Mike, listen, let me explain something to you. I'm not afraid of you. I know how to fight. I'm ready to fight. Okay. I'm not scared. Are you challenging me to a fight right now? And most of the time the answer is going to be no. If he says yes, you're threatening me, you're challenging me to a fight, he's basically telling me he's going to physically attack me. And at that point, I can articulate and make a case for myself that I feared for my life, and I had to defend myself. The kid told me he was going to beat me up, and you're totally justified in doing that, especially if it's chronic, right? Second thing is tell, and this is the big one kids miss because they get embarrassed, and dads are responsible for this, don't be a pussy. Right. Don't be a little bitch, like, blah, blah, blah. So you're scared, like, man, this kid's punking me, but I want to go tell my dad because I'm going to get embarrassed. And it's tough to talk to to other people. It's like a dad thing.
Sure.
Or a strong single mother, can be uncle, whoever. They need someone that they can talk to without being ridiculed and embarrassed, because I've seen moms too, kids getting tapped on the mat. Oh, you tapped out to a girl. Man, don't talk to your son like that. What are you doing? Yeah. Now they're going to be scared.
What does that help?
It doesn't do shit. It does the opposite of what you should be doing. You're breaking their confidence at that point. So when they tell the adults, first off, the open line of communication has to open. One piece of advice to all the parents out there that have kids that are in school, every day when they get home from school, after you talk and small talk, ask them 3 questions. Were they nice to everybody? was everybody nice to them, and was everybody nice to each other, right? So were you nice to everyone today? And kids will be honest. No, I wasn't nice to James today on the playground. Well, why not? Let's talk about it, right? We can talk about physical confrontation. We could talk about violence without being ridiculed or scared to get in trouble or anything like that. It's just normal talk, right? Let's talk about how people are treating each other at school. At least kids are being mean. Did anyone hit each other? Yes, kid punched the other kid. Will the teacher see that? No. Well, now I know that I might need to speak to the teacher. Hey, this stuff's going on, because I don't want my kid being in that environment. So then the other part of tell is not telling the teacher, he did this, he touched me, he blah, blah. Trust me, as an educator of children, we tune that shit out because it's tattletaling.
Yeah.
And it's just like, whatever. You know, the teachers be like, whatever, we'll solve it later. We instructed students to go to the teacher and say, hey, listen, there's this kid, Mikey, and he's bigger than me. He's stronger than me. He's better looking than me. He has nicer haircut, whatever, right? And he's been messing with me. He's been bullying me. And it's a big problem. And I do martial arts. And if he physically attacks me, or if he says one more thing, or he scares me again, I'm going to defend myself. And the teacher now is like laser focusing on that situation. So the last thing they want is a fight on their watch after they've been warned that it's serious. This kid is doing jiu-jitsu or boxing or wrestling or whatever. And it's like at the end of their rope, you know? Mm-hmm. Now it's the teacher's fault. It's not realize this, parents. It's not the teacher's job to keep your kids safe in school. It's not. It's their job to teach them, right? And it's our job to keep our kids safe and give them the tools that they need so that they can.
I disagree with that statement, but we can.
Well, it is part of their responsibility, but it's an impractical thing.
Mike, so
it's like I asked you stoplights in prison; they're outnumbered.
I'll give you a little bit of perspective. So, I mean, part of the reason why I'm asking you a lot of these questions, and I am genuinely curious about what somebody like yourself has to say about this. My son, he's 5 right now. He's a great kid. I love him to death. He's tiny. He's a really tiny kid. He's in the first percentile height and weight. He may have that third quarter growth spurt when he gets to high school, but he's likely going to be tiny for a long, long time. You know, he's too young to go to places. I mean, maybe when he gets a little bit older, he'd go to a place like yours. He'd go to a place that teaches real martial arts. And maybe after a few years, he'll be proficient enough to defend himself. But the truth of the matter is he's never going to be big enough to be able to defend himself against the kid who's the big kid in class.
I disagree with you, because how many small wrestlers did you know in high school that no one would ever put their hands on?
I mean, in a situation, in a ring, in an athletic event, I'm with you. I'm with you. But a kid who's 10, 11, 4th, 5th grade,
you don't
and
want to have to rely on it, is what you're saying.
He's the kid who grew up in the whitey white suburbs of Ohio, and he's growing up with the parents, and he's going up against the kid who's literally maybe twice his size, whose parents hit him on a regular basis. Like, that's tough. And I'm ready to give him the skills to hopefully be confident enough to not get into those kind of things, and hopefully to defend his life when it really takes it. But he may not be the kid who's going to be able to be big enough to defend himself on the playground. And I expect the school to provide him a safe environment where that is not a situation that he'll be in. Yeah, he should have the tools to defend himself if necessary, but I absolutely expect the school to keep him physically safe.
So that, in my opinion, is an unrealistic expectation, because they can't monitor the kids at all times. And when is a bully going to do this behavior? When a teacher's present or not? And like I said, like, school's like jail, you know? When do the inmates attack each other?
That's what I always thought.
When do the inmates attack each other? When it's open, when they have the open free time, right?
Yeah, sure.
When does 90% of bullying happen in school? It's when they're all in the yard together, right? Or in the cafeteria together, and there's so many at one time. There's not enough eyes to keep on. And here's the thing: a lot of bullying is very subtle. It's not closed fist punching someone in the face. It's me,
right?
You know, it's me like just pinching Mike every day at lunch, and he eventually snaps. You know, it's me calling him a douchebag every day, and shoving him in the face when the teacher's not looking. The teacher's looking. Oh, hey, Mike's my buddy. Right. No, we're cool. We're fine, right, yeah. Mikey? Right, buddy? And because a big part of bullying is there's a power imbalance. If he tells me no, well, I'm just going to make it worse for him the next time. So he's just gonna agree with me. Oh, it's not a problem at all.
So people always think it's weird to hear that I was bullied when I was younger, but I was always like the awkward, quiet kid. Like I was into all the nerdy shit, obviously, but then, like my parents are both nerds and not like into popular culture or anything like that. So it was like, I mean, Tristan and I were both in Boy Scouts, so that's like our connection. Yeah, that's the closest connection to like a social group of like the cool points that we had. And so it was for a long time. It's like,
which I think the Boy Scouts are awesome, by the way, if you get with the right group.
Oh yeah,
those sorts of skills are what our culture needs right now.
It was amazing. It did a lot for me, and I'm sure it did a lot for Mike, but it did not help our popularity status in high school.
I can start a fire with damn near anything. That's pretty much that. And I honed my ability to beat people up. And we used to beat the shit out of each other in Boy Scouts.
I bet, yeah.
Until we ran into that one troop that was like an inner city fucking Boy Scout troop.
What kind of damn Boy Scouts are y'all do? I went through my church and I quit because it sucked so bad.
Yeah,
so I would have stuck with it if I had a cool person, but the dude running it was like a knob job.
Yeah, we had all good people in ours. So, but no, it was like a some sort of camp or something. I don't remember what it was, but it was like multiple troops met at this event.
And they let you guys scrap?
They were like, everybody's out there like playing, like doing like,
there's going to be
smear
scraps.
The queer. And
yeah, there's going to be fights.
And this other group, I mean, it looked like they took the class from like Dangerous Minds or something and put them in Boy Scout uniforms. And that was like this, we're all these like fucking shy, nerdy kids from Severna Park. Show up, rolling in there. And these guys are like, yeah, man, you want to see my knife? And it's like a fucking butterfly knife. It's like, that is not the kind of knife you need.
That's not the standard Boy Scout knife.
Shit was so weird. But like, so everybody always thinks it's strange. And every once in a while I have it in my head that I am who I used to be and I'm not who I appear to be. Because I'll always be me, but it's like what I present outwardly as opposed to what's inside has evolved greatly over the years. And so it's sometimes weird. I'll mention, I was like, yeah, I got picked on. And they're like, who the fuck picked on you? I was like, I know it seems kind of weird looking back on it. One, I was not always bigger. You know, I was
you were always tall, but you weren't big until late high school.
Yeah.
And you definitely weren't as big as you are now. You weren't as big as you are now until your early mid-20s.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like So I was taller, but then so I'm like this growth spurt kid wearing clothing that doesn't fit and like uncool shit and all this stuff. And
I can relate.
Yeah,
totally.
So it's like Severna Park. It's I think we had sort of different ends of the spectrum where it's like Severna Park. We had it was like the rich kids that are picking on you. So it's like I'm getting made fun of because I don't have like designer clothes and all this other shit, and I'm just sitting there taking it.
Dude, that's my story too, man.
Yeah.
Keep going.
So then I eventually went through in school and I found like my own group of friends. Like Tristan and I actually were.
So you guys went to high school together in Severna Park? No shit.
Yeah.
No shit. I love it down there. That's where our other school is now.
Oh, really? I didn't know you had one down that way. That's awesome. Yeah. Tristan and I weren't as close friends back then because we were real close when we were younger. And then my life fell to shit in middle school. That's when I got bullied the most. Huh?
What year?
Like all through middle school.
Me, it was like seventh grade was the worst year of my life, bro.
Still to this day. Seventh graders as a group are the worst fucking people on the planet.
I'll agree with that.
I think that's a pretty accurate statement.
You start thinking, especially like teaching kids a lot, like I'm around the kids. They're such a nice, like sweet kid up until they listen and then they come in one day and they're like, sup.
Yeah, like
I remind them like, yo, dude, you will never be cooler than me, bro. You'll never be cooler than me.
You just gotta like, break them down a little bit.
Yeah, fucking calm down, buddy. All right. Like you might be King Shit on Turd Island, team 4, 7th grade, but like you ain't shit in my world.
seventh graders, like middle schoolers, develop this. There's a stand-up comic who talks about it and they nail it. They develop this like sixth sense for like zeroing in on somebody else's greatest insecurity and just railing on. Yeah, that's it. It's John Mulaney, isn't it?
Oh, that's what I'm upset about.
But he's absolutely fucking right. Middle schoolers are the fucking. My mother-in-law was a middle school principal. I would rather put my brains on the wall than be a middle school principal.
So here's why that happens, though, because we do so much studying on the psychology of why this bullying happens. You know why? So it comes down to insecurity. That's in my opinion all that it is. Because why would I feel the need to make Mikey look like a clown in front of the group? Or why would I feel the need to?
I was sick and stuff on this last week, so I have this leftover from our.
Oh, this is for me?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, perfect.
So you got your fireball ready, Tristan?
Yeah.
We'll pop. Just do the mid-show fireball shot. Just
mid-show fireball. 9:31.
Oh man, I call that just randomly.
Cheers to you, Tristan, and all the viewers. Oh, that was a little one. That wasn't so bad.
Now you're
sorry, I interrupted.
We're starting on the path of a great point, Mike, about
so it comes down to insecurity and a confidence deficiency. So if you have a person, a child, a teenager that's very well adjusted, that's very confident in themselves, that knows what they're capable of physically, that doesn't really care. And here's the thing, everyone cares what people think about them. Anyone that's like, I don't care what people think about me, then you're a sociopath. Something is wrong with you, right? Everyone cares, no matter what.
I might have tendencies.
And the people, in my opinion, the people that say they don't care, those are the people that care the most, dude. They put so much stock in other people's opinions of them. So similar situation.
Those would be the people I bully.
Yeah. So similar situation with me in 7th grade. I was an insecure kid. I went from being a prep. I don't know if you guys had like genres of kids in your school.
Totally. Yep.
So in 6th grade, I was a prep. But my family had some financial problems like around that time. And like you said, of all the times, it's like to find the weakness to poke at. Like I'll never forget. And I've gotten a lot of fights in that period because I would have like the same shoes like all school year.
You wore that shirt on Monday.
And be like, exactly. Yeah. That was a big one. You wore that shirt earlier in the week. Yeah, wait, bro.
I got that one in sixth grade. Yeah. I remember that. I had a no fear shirt. That was like my good shirt.
And it's like nowadays, like, dude, like I don't fucking know what shirt you were wearing the last time I saw you. Like adults don't care about that stuff because we're more adjusted and we have more we don't care. Like we're bigger fish to fry.
Fucking animals.
So the kids at that age, they're gonna hone in on any little weakness. That I'll never forget. I got like a cold sore on my lip in like the first like couple weeks of school. Forget about it, bro. The whole fucking year. So then I told you I went from being a prep to being a skater.
Right.
And I was actually pretty decent at skateboarding. I gave myself the stupid bowl cut like everyone else had at that stage and started wearing the skater clothes, the etnies, the airwalks, the World Industries, what have you. But I was like a legit skate, like that's like changed, whatever. So I come from 6th grade being this to 7th grade, you're a skater now. And a lot of the skate culture too, there's like a lot of bad kids that skated, at least when I was a kid. Like all the bad kids were skaters.
Yep.
And I wasn't necessarily like a bad kid, but I started hanging out with, some kids that were a little bit more rough. And this is the weirdest shit ever, bro. I started dating this girl, like one of the first real girlfriends that I had. And there was a kid, and I don't want to say his name, but we'll call him Johnny. Well, I'll tell you why I don't want to say his name, but in the end, we'll call him Johnny, which is not his name. But he had failed. We had a school called Gateway that was out. It was like a reform school for all the kids for like.
I was going to say that sounds like a reform.
Yeah, for like all the Carroll County kids that were like just failing, poor behavior, using drugs. Like in this is like for this is for middle school and high schoolers. So it's like younger kids, He failed 7th grade 3 times.
Ooh.
So he was driving to school, bro. He was driving. He was in my homeroom.
What the fuck?
He was driving to school on his learner's permit, but still, he's driving to freaking school. He was a giant, dude. He was like a head or two taller than the rest of us, you know? I was just a normal sized kid in 7th grade, man. So I dated this girl and he had like a crush on her. So he was like
3 times.
So then they did this program where they took all of the kids from this magnet school, from this reform school, and they were trying to, well, dude, terrible home life, drug addict parents, you know, like you don't stand a chance.
I get it.
Abusive older brother that probably was kicking the shit out of him every day. And a lot of bullying behavior is projective too. You know, you learn it from somewhere. So like he basically took it out on me, bro. The shit this kid did to me, man. He'd hold me down on the ground and force feed me grass, mud. He'd rip his pubic hair out. This is a true story, bro. Rip his pubic hair out and put it on my lunch and be like, yeah, like eat that.
Jesus
and
Christ.
I'd be like,
that's like the bullying you see in movies.
I'd be like, dude, I'm not eating that. Like, you just put your pubes on my sandwich. And then he would like punch me and be like, fucking eat it. And then like, I'm kind of hanging out with these skater kind of bad kids, and they're like, pussy. Like, it's like, you know, what are you gonna do? I never did that though. I would always just take my ass whoopings, and I never told my dad. And I was like doing taekwondo at the time, and like I was like a purple belt or like a red belt in taekwondo. And like I knew though, just because kind of your point before, Tristan, I knew he was so much bigger and stronger than me. The fighting back wouldn't do anything. It just wouldn't do anything.
And he would hurt you.
It would be worse.
Yeah.
And so I just ate it, man. Like I just dealt with it. There was literally nothing that I felt like I could do. I was scared to tell my parents. My parents are great, supportive people. Yeah. My dad's not one of those guys. Like I could have talked to him about anything. I was scared of the reprisal that I would get from this kid if he found out that I narked on him.
Right.
He's just gonna kick the shit out of me worse. Then what happens?
You're gonna drive over there.
Then what happens? The other fucking bullies that are looking to get their rocks off and make fun of someone too, well, they targeted right onto me too. But those kids caught ass whoopings because they were still 7th graders. I was like, no, you got me fucked up, bro. Like, this kid might beat me up, but he's a grown ass man compared to you. Like, I will fight you, and I'll and I'll tell you this: what saved me is back in those days you had wrestling in as a unit. You guys remember that? You had to wrestle in Carroll County. You had to wrestle.
It was on its way out when we were there. We did it, but I think we did it for like a week, and like that was it.
Yeah. So what they did to all the boys were they're like, you can do wrestling or volleyball, which I love volleyball.
Right.
But everyone's like, volleyball, you'll do wrestling, you pussy. Like, you're doing volleyball. It's such that machismo stuff causes a lot of the bullying stuff too, because it's like, dude, we're evolved primates, man. Who's pounding on their chest harder? Who's trying to look bigger in front of everyone else? And some people are incapable of doing that through being good at sports, being good scholastically, you know, doing something. So the only way they're going to achieve attention is by punking someone else, you know? And that's where I believe it starts. It starts with confidence deficiency. This kid is a little bit not confident, therefore he gets bullied. This kid is not confident, that's why he's bullying. It's very rare you see the confident, stable people that have something going either academically or athletically, or they have a girlfriend they're focusing time on, or they have a really good family that they spend their time with. Those kids rarely become victims of bullying, and they rarely become bullies themselves. It's all about just being well-adjusted, in my opinion.
I definitely.
I don't know. I don't know that that's true.
I'm not 100%. I'm talking in generalizations.
I had a great family life. I was a smart kid. I wasn't an all-star student, but I was pretty good. I got picked on all the time, elementary, middle school.
Yeah, me too. I mean, dude, clearly, I had a good life growing up, but I got bullied too.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just saying, I don't know that success in some field or another, you know, will get you out of being bullied. Yeah, I mean, I guess maybe
there's tendencies, because I mean, probably everybody, for the most part, gets bullied at one point or another, or at least picked on a little bit.
Yeah,
but it's like the reason I agree with you is because I saw myself go through the transition where it was like, I got picked on, therefore I picked on other people.
Oh yeah, it's a learned behavior.
There was a kid, I was actually trying to get him, see if he was available for the show. He's actually he ended up being, by the end of high school, ended up being a good friend of mine.
But he was your bully?
No,
you bullied him?
Yeah, he was like, kid had you'll know who I'm talking about, but it's like kid had a rat tail and like fucking bowl cut all the way into high school and
sick.
Just like got tormented so bad and everything. But it's like he was lower down on the totem pole. So I was getting bullied by other people and I
did it
him.
too, bro. I actually saw a dude that I bullied in high school and I saw him out not recently, but probably like 7 or 8 years ago. And I was just like, dude, I'm sorry, man. Like, I was a dick to you in high school.
Yeah.
And there was I'm not acting like I was some golden child. I never fucked with anyone. I bullied my best friend.
Everybody did.
Everybody did. I think it's kind of a part of natural human behavior. But the problem is, you know, where do we draw the line? You know, where does it become detrimental to somebody? And I think a lot of times, like, beefing between someone and having like a little bit of a power struggle can be very healthy and very good. And actually you learn more about yourself and you can develop friendships through this, you know, like, man, maybe there's a way we can see eye to eye here.
Yeah, actually I became friends with some of the people that bullied me into high school. Like there were a couple guys that like picked on me for being the quiet, weird, because I sort of went through that like just nerd phase and then sort of into like skater, I don't know, goth, the skaters, like hot topic.
Yeah, the skaters, you know what I mean? That whole thing was like an outcast, like you're like a group of outcasts.
Yeah, I don't know, but
you dropped down a level. So like so being a kid, being a student at that age, it's like running from a bear, right? Like you don't have to be faster than the bear, you have to be faster than the other guy. So like you just need to outrun somebody else. So like you dropped out of that prep strata, right? Into like the skater strata, and like you held kind of a higher position in that like skater hierarchy, right? So like the ones they'd go after would be the ones who were lower. And then I think in my time there, the next strata down from the skaters was the goths, right? Yeah. And the goths were the kids who had totally retreated from wanting to be involved in anything that was going on there.
They don't give a shit about being accepted. And
they kind of do, but they kind of huddle up, right? Like they kind of circle the wagons.
And I think those kids probably get picked on a little bit less.
Yeah.
Because it's too low hanging fruit. There's like, anyone can do that.
Well, that's where I eventually settled, was sort of in my own niche group of like bunch of like fucking nerdy metalheads. Like it was the weirdest like
so it's interesting you bring that up. So it kind of pulled me out of this. Oh, by the way, the dude that bullied me ended up killing himself like 3 years ago.
Oh, I think you're gonna be like, and that guy is Mark Zuckerberg. I was shit. I thought it was gonna end out well. That's sad. Okay.
Yeah, and everyone was like happy for me. Yo, he's gone, man. Remember how bad he used to fuck with you? Fuck him, dude. He's dead now. Like, aren't you happy? I'm like, dude, I'm not happy. I'm not happy about that at all, bro. Like,
I would, but I have no respect for human life.
we had a guy who gave us a bunch of shit in middle school. We fought back, but he shit in middle school. Yeah, we called him Deadhead. He ended up ODing in mid high school.
Yeah, I think so.
I think he'd been expelled from our school, but he was a real dickhead to us. And then we heard he OD'd, and I remember having the same kind of conflicting, you know, fuck him, I'm glad he's dead. But at the same time, it's like, well, he's probably just, you know, he was an asshole because his dad's probably a dick, right?
I mean, when you get older, you can introspect. You can.
I felt not bad for his brother. That was really it.
Yeah,
I not a second went by where I was like, oh man, I feel bad for him. No, I felt bad for his brother because his brother was like polar opposite.
Mm-hmm.
His brother was like flamboyantly gay and like super positive, and then this guy was just a raging piece of shit.
But like, I mean, and you could talk about this with wider issues that we won't get into, but like, I believe in personal responsibility, but at the end of the day, I bet that guy was an asshole because of some fucked up shit that happened to him, right? Like,
probably.
And that's 100% the case with the dude that bullied me too, man. I mean, like,
it's like, do we forgive them for that? Are they, you know, do we, where's the responsibility? And is a 13-year-old kid responsible, you know, for the shit that he brought me back? I don't know. I think
you have to forgive, bro. If it's that long ago, I mean, you have to, or you're
I've
being
forgiven
petty.
all of it at this point. I just at the time it didn't feel like it. At the time it was like,
I'm actually a little bit grateful for it, man, especially as someone that teaches martial arts. And a lot of people come to me with like, same thing like you said. They're like, man, you got bullied? Like, how the hell? Like, I'm like, trust me, man. I know exactly how you feel, bro. Like, I've been there, man. You know, scared to go to school, you know, like getting shitty grades because I'm not focused on my work, you know? So I kind of, I mean,
I guess
it was a blessing in disguise, but it was terrible at the time for sure.
I'm with you. Like, I get it. Like, now that I'm an adult, I'm like, look, conflict is good for you. Solving problems is good for you. Suffering is good for you. I get it. I guess I feel bad for like, there's guys who don't come out the other side from it. Like,
yeah.
You know, there's guys who never socially recover from the kind of severe shit that they take in middle school and high school. You know, we had a good friend from elementary school who's disappeared off the face of the goddamn planet. And I think a big part of it was he took a bunch of shit all throughout his school life. And I don't know where the fuck he is now. I hope he's alive.
So let me ask you a question that's kind of like open-ended. Like, what makes certain people be able to come out the other end and other ones, those traumatic experiences or whatever, like as a kid, it sticks with them with their, I mean, it depends on the level of what's going on too.
Part of it's the toolkit you get from the adults around you, be that teachers or parents.
I agree with you 100%. 100%.
Part of it is the toolkit that you get. Part of it is luck. I mean,
I would agree.
We talked about the kid with the rat tail. Like, dude just ended up on the bottom of the pile for no particular reason. Like, he wasn't that much of a dick. He wasn't even that weird. Like, he liked his rat tail and he was gonna keep that fucking thing, and he got shit from it.
This is gonna sound a bit savage, but it's like, look at like a pack of wolves, you know, or look at like a group of primates, you know. The stronger ones are going to take advantage of the weaker ones, and you know, that's kind of like the pattern of all mammal life.
I'm glad you bring that up, and that is why this subject is important to me and takes up a lot of mental cycles, is because it's one thing to kind of be a dick or to be a nerd and to be kind of into weird stuff, but there's some stuff that like you can't get past. I mean,
I think something that
the slow wolf could just be the black kid in class. He can't fix that.
Oh yeah, especially me growing up in Carroll County, bro.
Or the little kid in class, or when you don't have any money, like you just can't fucking fix that.
You should see how badly some of my friends that I grew up with in Carroll County got fucked with that are black and Asian or Hispanic or anything different than white. Carroll County, dude.
Hillbilly white.
So bad.
So do I look at those? Do I look at those guys and just be like, look, man, few years it'll all be okay. Like I'll give you a great example of that. So what another thing that pulled me out of this whole thing is I joined the wrestling team as a freshman in high school. And I'm telling you, man, like you guys probably remember when you're on the wrestling team, no one really messes with you. Except for other people on the wrestling team. And that's the worst. It's like hazing, bro. It's like you're catching ass whoopings every day for no reason. So, you know, here we are in good old Carroll County. The only kid that got bullied on the wrestling team was the only black kid on the team. Somebody, listen to how typical this is, bro. Somebody stole somebody's watch. Somebody was like thieving shit out of the wrestling locker room. Come on, who they gonna blame? And it wasn't him. It wasn't. He had nothing to do with it at all. And then, like, man, even the wrestling team.
So it's like for me, wrestling. So it's like for me, wrestling was like this guiding light of like pulling me out of this terrible place where, like, man, I thought like I was gonna get. And I will say this: in 8th grade, you know, we had a band and we were like play little parties and stuff like that. So music pulled me out of it too, because I was like, I don't even need to participate, bro, in this macho bullshit, because I have my guitar and I can sing a little bit. I sound a little bit like Kurt Cobain, and that was popular shit at the time, and I'm good now. So then, like, you know, high school comes around, you're like, oh shit, bro, like my Taekwondo black belt ain't gonna fucking help me in here. Like, I need to do something else. So I had to So for me, wrestling like pulled me out of this situation. But for this kid, wrestling was like probably the worst thing for him. It was bad. And then here's another dynamic about bullying is that if you're the high guy on the totem pole or whatever, and you're doing something fucked up to somebody else, how likely am I to step up and be like, Mike, this is wrong. You shouldn't be doing this.
Right.
Because then the target gets shifted to me.
Yep.
Right. So I think the way that we solve this problem is, one way is not, it's a multifaceted way that there's no solving the problem. First off, we have to acknowledge that. There's only mitigating damage.
Yep. There's got to be haves and have-nots. It's the way of the world.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm glad that you realize that, because so many people are like, no child left behind. No kid should ever get bullied. Again, this is an unrealistic expectation.
Doesn't mean it's a problem that you don't have to work on. Doesn't mean that there are portions of this that
100%. So I think how you work on it is you tell your kids
on that is unacceptable, but you're right. You can't fix it completely. And
I agree. So for example, like the kids in the academy, when they get to a certain level and they enter the advanced classes, the number one thing we talk to them about is like, I'm not worried about you getting picked on now. Do any kids ever pick on you? No, never. Okay. When you see this little guy's getting picked on, or the kid with special needs, I always use this example. I'm like, you got a kid who's a geek or he's special needs or whatever, and he falls on the ground. He drops all his papers and his pencil on the ground. While every other kid might kick his shit around and make fun of him and poke fun at him, I need you to be the one kid that isn't scared of the opinions of other people, because you could destroy anyone that has something to say against you. You're the one kid that helps him pick his shit up. You're the one kid that helps him get himself together. You're the one kid that will stand up for him.
That's what I hope for with, raising my son. Cause
that's the only thing we can do is teach our kids different.
Cause I look at everything cause my parents are great people and all that stuff, but it's like they took a much more passive role in how everything was done. And so situation, like I was telling my mom something the other day saying how I got picked on, and she had never heard it before. I didn't even realize that. I had never told her.
Never told her. Yeah.
I was like, I didn't even realize that happened. That's it blew my mind. But that's, I think.
My parents feel extremely guilty because I never talked about it. I'm like, it wasn't your fault. It's not your fault.
Communication. That's what everybody needs to do. It's like, no matter what you do, you need to communicate with those involved, and ultimately you'll find a way to deal with it.
I apologize. I'm not trying to be rude. I just had to text my wife.
I had a moment in my life, and I'll try and keep the story as short as I can, but it's one of the most important moments of my life. And part of the reason why I'm telling it is the
feed is going to drop out again for this.
What's that?
The feed is going to drop out again for this. You're going to lose your story.
Oh yeah, probably. One of the most important moments of my life, and Mike, I'm telling this so that you continue doing what you're doing. I was in 7th grade, and I was in the middle school band, and we had a new band instructor. And at the time, he was my hero. He's a former Marine, built like a brick shit house. I loved him. I idolized him. And
I remember that guy.
Mr. Norris. Yeah, he'd come in and he'd taken over the band. He was leaps and bounds better than the other guy. Anyway, there was another kid in the band who I was in the band with for years and years. But the day before, we had been waiting for an after-school bus, and one of the kids who had a bad home life and was into some shit was picking on this kid, Steve. And Steve got picked on all the fucking time. He had a real bad in school, and I didn't fucking do anything. And Steve got so mad. He was tall, but he was lanky as hell. He didn't have a muscle in his body, and he got so mad he was clenching his fists, and you could tell he was reaching the edge, and he just didn't know what else to do. And this kid was giving him so much shit, and the kid recognized that Steve was ready to swing at him, and he said, "Come on, you want to fight? Come on, go ahead, hit me." And Joe knew that if Steve swung first, that he wasn't going to get in trouble, so he just goaded him into the fight until finally Steve decided to take a swing at him. And Steve decided to throw a kick at him, and his foot got maybe 18 inches off the ground. Didn't come close to Joe, but it counted. And so Joe, the rough kid, fucking sucker punched Steve in the stomach and put him to the ground. And Steve is lying on the ground, and his backpack contents are strewn everywhere, and he's having a hard time breathing. And it was the funniest fucking thing I've ever seen. Because fuck Steve, right?
You're like, hey, it wasn't me.
Yeah, it wasn't fucking me. And
So to kind of circle back to one thing you asked before. Go ahead.
So the next day,
it's not
I am. So the next day, I am helping our new band instructor, former Marine Mr. Norris, clean up the band room. Everybody else is left, and I'm just a suck up because this guy's my hero, and I want him to think I'm cool. And I'm like, let me tell you about this fucking thing I saw yesterday. Steve tried to stand up to Joe, and he got the shit kicked out of him. Isn't that hilarious? And Mr. Norris looks at me, and he says, dude, that's not funny. You got to be the guy. You got to be the one who stands up for him. Steve can't stand up for himself. He's a twig, man. Somebody's got to stand between him and Joe. You got to be the guy. And that moment hit me in the face like a goddamn brick. It was like,
that's awesome.
You're right. I am the asshole. That moment sticks out in my life as one of those where I didn't realize how wrong I was until that moment right there. So keep up with the message that you're doing, because that was a really important realization for me.
Thank you, bro. And that I'm so glad you said that, because like that's, I always tell my students, kids, adults, like, who do you want to be remembered by? You know, how do you want to be remembered? Rather, the guy that your friend's getting beat up and you're the one running away or filming it or doing something like that, or you were the dude, like you said, that stood between this guy. And that's a tough call, man, because now you're taking the bullseye and you're putting it directly on your own chest.
And
you're accountable for the damage that happens in the fight. You're accountable for getting in trouble. You're accountable for everything that happens from that point forward. But nothing I tell my students is what is right is not always popular, and what is popular is not always right.
Yep.
So this kid is a geek, and everyone's teaming up on him, and that's the popular thing to do. Well, that's not the right thing to do, right? What's the right thing to do? Stand up for him. Hey, man, why don't you shut your mouth? Well, you're not cool because you're standing up for little Joey, right? Well, fuck being cool then. Yeah. I mean, if that's being cool, then fuck you guys. I don't need to be friends with you guys, you know? And again, to kind of circle back what we were saying before, is that, you know, we can't handcuff these kids and be like, basically you can do nothing.
Yeah, you know? Monitor them 24/7.
What am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to do? Is kids punching me in the face every day?
I'm worried we're getting into, like, that's what
then they snap.
That's what the world wants to happen, is everything's so regulated that, you know, there's no self-regulation. I think there's a certain amount. It's like you said, there's always going to be the aggressors and the submissive people and all that stuff, and you can't regulate that completely. You have to sort of let it sort. A certain amount of it needs to sort itself out, and I think the key is keeping in contact with the kids that are involved, your child's friends, that sort of stuff, and making sure you know what's going on. So if you see anything that is getting out of hand or going beyond what is just normal kids, like being kids, because kids are fucking assholes. They're going to be fucking assholes to each other.
For sure.
So you can expect a certain amount of that, but anything past what, you know, you deem as acceptable or whatever, then that's where you need to.
We need to make kids involved. Not scared to protect themselves, because a lot of this stems from the fear that zero tolerance, as you brought up before, Tristan.
But the one thing you have to keep in mind, though, is that we've talked about it before. We talked about it last time. Is that false confidence? And you have to be
very careful with that. I have kids come in and be like, "I'm ready, right?" I'm like, "Don't go get into a fight today, bro. Yeah. Like, you are not ready. Let's give it some time."
That's like us when we were all younger, and you had that kid that's out there doing Kim's karate in the fucking hallway and shit. It's like that kid gets in a real fight, he's getting his teeth kicked in.
For sure.
So
it takes time.
Even a practiced, you know, I don't want to say expert, but a pretty good practitioner at Gracie at jiu-jitsu. Somebody who's been doing it for years.
Fighter is still a human being.
You know, he takes a guy to a ground and the other guy punches you in the throat. Like, that just may not be something that you are expecting or ready for. Like, people
if you're training not Gracie jiu-jitsu. If you're training Brazilian jiu-jitsu sports style,
have fun taking somebody down to the ground in a marble hallway in a high school gymnasium.
For sure,
you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, for sure. So it's kind of twofold. Like, by teaching people how to fight, you teach them what they're capable of and what they can do, but they're also learning their physical boundaries, you know.
I think that's one of the more important things that
for sure, especially at the adult level.
Yeah,
man, like
because I think
I've had some people in my adult life, like, you know, do some pretty shitty things to me, and people are like, why didn't you just fuck that guy up? I'm like, what the hell does this guy have to lose? Nothing. That's why he's acting like that.
I think in a physical confrontation, a certain amount of it is just being willing to be in that physical confrontation, and then
100%, you can't teach heart.
And then next is just natural ability, and then the other 50% is what you've actually been taught. I'd say a good portion of it is just being able to get in there and what you're just naturally able to do, and you can adjust the rest. I
agree, but at a certain level, technique takes over. You know, like, for example, my friend Todd Tanaka from Hawaii, he's like 5'0", but he's a 3rd-degree black belt in jiu-jitsu, and he grew up in Honolulu, which they scrap, bro. The police come and they're like, yeah, you touched his girlfriend, he knocked you out, everybody go home.
Nobody's dead, right?
Yeah. Don't be fighting out here again, you know. It's very different, you know. And honestly, I feel like that was more of the climate when we were kids too. Like, oh, you got to fight, you do this, all right. You started it. Okay, you punch his teeth out. You get suspended. You get in-school suspension for 1 day, and then you're cool with the guy moving forward. Not these drastic expulsion. You never get. And here's the big thing too, is that our kids that we teach, they're brainwashed. These schools have them believing that if they get into a fight as like a 3rd or 4th or 6th or 7th grader, that it goes on like their permanent record. They're not going to be able to get into college. Trust me, these kids think this, and we have to demystify everything and be like, you're not going to get any trouble at all. I mean, if you use jiu-jitsu or wrestling or some sort of grappling form, the kid's trying to punch you, take him into the ground and hold him there till help comes. Dude, you're probably not even going to get suspended.
Right.
Like, you might get yelled at in school, which the schools, they have no authority over you at all. Like, your parents are the authority figure. And this is one of the biggest problems with bullying.
I don't think any of that's true.
Okay.
I mean, I wish it was, but I mean, a lot of schools have if you're both involved in a physical altercation, you're both being suspended policy these days. I mean, I wish it wasn't true, but I think that's the reality.
So here's the deal. So that's part of the reason why, you know, we exist too, because I'll go to the school for the kids. I've done it many times.
I'm not saying I agree with it either. I'm just saying I think that's the way it is.
Right. I see. You're not disagreeing with me. You're just saying you disagree with the policy. But
I'm saying
if I teach the kid, but if they use the 3 T's and they go through the process.
Well, but he's saying that it's not necessarily that way either. So I mean, you very much. I mean, they've had instances where I don't even remember how young, but kids like super young have got into some sort of altercation, and then the school has tried to make some sort of permanent mark on their record that lasts forever. And it's not necessarily out of the question that something like that could happen. Not likely, but it's becoming more and more likely. It's definitely different than when. So here's
a big question I ask the kids when they're dealing with bullying, because they're scared to get in trouble. A lot of times the hands are tied of the kid because they know that even though you're bullying me, if I do something back to you, especially knowing martial arts or being involved in a wrestling club or a boxing club or something like that, if I do something, I have more to lose. I'm going to get in trouble. Typically, the kid that's doing the bullying typically is not a star student, is not a star athlete.
Right.
The kid is getting picked on because they are jealous of this other kid because they have something. This kid has more to lose. They care about their academics. They care about they're losing their sport. Like I remember like in wrestling, like if you fought, like you get kicked off the team. Mm-hmm. So like your hands are tied a little bit. So what we do is we kind of reverse brainwash the kids, and we ask them a simple question: what's worse? What is it worth to fight? First off, is it worth the fight?
Right.
If it's not, walk away. Don't worry about it. Kid's not worth it. If it is worth it, what's worse? Getting in trouble or getting beat up? And guess what all the kids answer? Just guess.
Getting beat up.
I would think.
None of them answer that. They all answer getting in trouble.
Yeah, no, I believe that.
And we're like, no, Getting beat up is worse than getting in trouble. They're like, no, I don't. I'm like, so you're more scared of getting yelled at and suspended than getting your nose broken and picking your teeth off the ground? Because that could happen. You're more scared of that than a concussion. You're more scared of that than a broken arm. I mean, these things happen in fights. And unanimously, the kids are always like, I'm more scared to get in trouble. So we have to go back and get more down into like just primal survival instincts and be like, man, forget the rules to an extent, you know? Don't hurt anyone. Don't bully anyone. Only self-defense. If somebody physically puts their hands on you, you defend yourself. We'll worry about the consequences later.
Yeah. Better alive and in trouble.
Yeah. I mean, better to get in trouble than to get beat up is kind of our philosophy.
What are the cops
Because like you said with the zero tolerance,
better to be judged by 12 than carried by 6.
Yeah, I mean, very similar. Like in the adult context of that, hey, get in my car, you're gonna die. I'd rather just die right here. You give me a proper burial. At least everyone knows what happened to me. Right. I'm not going with you to go get duct taped and tortured in your freaking basement or something like that. You know, I mean, and this is that's an extreme example. It has nothing to do with kids at all. But but it's still valid. Like I'd rather face the music than you know, face the Grim Reaper.
Sure.
One last quick point I'll connect here is the comparison. So we started to say like how things are different. Like when we were younger, it was a little bit more, you know, meet me on the playground and you go and you fuck each other up or whatever, and then
shake hands, you go home.
Yeah, it's all done.
It's done. You get it out.
Because I remember the one major, I think the only fight I got in high school really was this kid had been picking on me. They set it up to, you know, have us fight. I chased him around a tennis court near my house for a while, and then it got split up. So we had to
leave and go somewhere else.
We had to do another. We set up a different one for a different time. I beat him up, and then right afterwards, a friend of his wanted to fight me, and I basically got called out right there and had to fight again right afterwards. Ooh. And I did not make it.
Yeah. Well, fatigue makes cowards of us all, bro.
Holy shit, I could not move. I remember standing up as like he like speared me, and I like tried to lift him, and I couldn't do shit. Like you barely move him. Ended up on the ground, and then when we go to stand up, it took me so long to stand up, and he's just teeing off on my head. And I'm just like bing, 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 because he couldn't hurt me, but I remember standing up and going, I'm tired.
it's like Brad Pitt in the basement of Lose. It
was rough.
Tyler Durden in the basement of Lose.
But it was like
anyone that knows Fight Club.
So that kid who was a shit talker to no end, like, you know, we got in a fight and I gave up at one point. I was like, I can't breathe. I can't move. I'm just hanging on to him. I remember I was trying to do like fucking kicks into the back, like if you remember.
But did he ever mess with you again?
No.
I know what you're talking about. There's Hoist Gracie tactic right there.
Yeah, I remember it from watching the early UFCs and how silly it probably looked on the.
And shit works though, man. I mean, those are kidney shots. And
maybe it might probably not because I was exhausted.
Yeah, when you're not almost dead, I'm sure it's a great tactic.
So it probably didn't do shit, but yeah, the first guy I ended up being, you know, fairly good friends with for a while. Like we went out and did graffiti together and all this other shit. But it's like, it makes me wonder.
And the second guy is Mark Zuckerberg.
Yeah. Small world. But so I see through the bar industry, I see a lot of different people, obviously. And just seeing how the mentality has changed over the years. You don't see anything like that anymore. If somebody gets in a fight, their first thought is like, oh, I need to call my lawyer. It's like, just you get in a fight and be done with it. There's like two people, let two people fight.
So I'm so mixed about that because like I try to avoid any sort of physical conflict at any cost as much as I can. And I advise my students to do the same thing. Avoidance is key. You win every fight that you don't get into. you could win a fight and walk away with a broken orbital socket or a broken hand.
Yep.
Or a broken jaw or
you
a
kind
concussion.
of also lose every fight you don't get into, right?
Just like,
Because
way to be a
doesn't the other guy
pessimist,
win too?
Tristan.
I'm just saying.
But based on whose standards, you know.
No,
And,
you're absolutely. I'm just kidding.
And it's so funny. Well, I mean, there's a lot of people that think like that though. Like you're a pussy if you back down. I hate
That's
this word.
true.
I hate people calling other people pussies because I never call anyone a pussy ever. I'm against it. I think it's a little bit derogatory because I have so many female students and it's like, whatever. Maybe a little bit funny around friends is a light joke. I'm not this PC guy, like, you know, whatever. But I'll never call one of my students a pussy or be like, dude, you didn't stand up to that guy. You're a bitch, bro. Like you should. No, you're smart. You're using your brain in that situation. Did you get hurt? No. Did the guy get hurt? No. Did the cops get called? No. I put that in the W column.
Seems like a win. Yeah, I guess you're right.
You know, but what stops us from that is ego. I feel the need to, you know, dominate this guy because of, you know, I want my friends to think I'm tough or whatever. Mikey's up to something here. I'm getting a little.
I think he's
getting
gonna
a little concerned.
This is a setup.
Oh, no.
Okay, yeah, I forgot about that.
Like I don't remember where I left it because I was in.
I'm gonna use the restroom while you hook that up.
All right. We'll get one last round of Would You Rather in. But
are we almost out of cards?
Nah, we got what do we got here?
Oh, you said one last round. I thought this was it.
No, I'd be panicking. I should probably start looking into it. I love Would You Rather.
There's got to be an expansion or something.
I look, there's not. So you can get Would You Rather, but it's like the boring family version.
Oh yeah,
this
no, we
is
don't,
like
we
the
don't want
only
that.
Would You Rather twisted, sick, and wrong late night edition, as this is called.
Oh, I didn't realize it was like a special. Okay, all right, I get it.
Yeah, I didn't even either. But
there's like something. Isn't there something on the box that like talks about your mom's butthole or something? I forget. Like,
I love the warning. It's warning. This game contains shocking content meant to inspire hilarious discussion. Questions may be nauseating, bizarre, or disturbing.
that is all true.
And yeah, so the ones on the box are: Would you rather bite the head off a live gopher or thoroughly lick a cat's butt? I think we've done that one.
Yeah, I think we ended up going through the ones on the box because there is one that has to do with like your dad's ass. I forget what it is.
Yeah. Have cheated on your spouse and have nobody know, or have not cheated but have everyone think you had. I think that happened just a week or two ago. Would you rather have a firecracker blow up in your mouth or drill a small hole in your own forehead?
Oh yeah, that was a bad one.
Ugh. And here you go. Would you rather shave your mom's bikini line or your dad's ass?
That's right.
Yeah, that's one of the classic ones. But are you ready?
I'm ready.
Nobody's ever ready.
Are you ready for it? Brr, brr, brr.
Yeah, nail that beat. All right. So, would you rather? Damn. Holy shit. This is
And
a lot.
so it begins.
Yeah. Would you rather have it rain rocks the size of baseballs or rain darts?
I'm gonna go
like from the sky.
I assume so. Yeah.
I'm gonna go with rocks because I could park my truck in the garage. How are you gonna clean up all those darts?
How are you gonna clean up all those rocks?
No, I'm assuming you are stuck in this.
Yeah, I think it's meant like you're
okay. Like
stuck
you're gonna
out
get
there.
hit.
Like I would say, like you've got to cross from one end of a stadium to another. Like you got to run 100 yards, right, through whatever this is.
I guess in that case, I'd say rocks.
No, it's got to be darts.
I'm thinking darts too.
If you're running, they're gonna get stuck in your foot too, bro.
I think you're going to get stuck with a lot of darts, but I don't think a dart from the sky will penetrate your skull.
True. It probably won't kill you.
But it would probably be minor damage. You take a few rocks or baseball-sized rocks falling from the sky.
Yeah, darts.
You're done.
You'll die.
I mean,
Yeah.
you take
One of
a
those.
couple, and you're done with. I mean, you could probably take
It's a tough one. This is a tough one.
You could probably take a lot of darts before you'd be. You'd have.
I guess how hard is it raining? Like, can I look up? Can I dodge the rocks? Are they dodgeable? Like,
So many questions. Would you rather have a constant white saliva coating on your tongue,
oh God.
or
I already have that.
have constantly sweaty palms? I don't know why it's really funny to me.
Man,
Sweaty
I guess
palms?
tongue because I shake hands with so many people.
Yeah, I don't know.
But I'm already sweaty when I shake hands. I guess.
So what I've got like old man tongue. Is that what it is? Like a white saliva coating?
I
Like in
feel
the
like
corners of my mouth? That's the worst when you get old.
I feel like
like the tongue,
the white
like the
saliva thing.
like the tongue on the what's the damn dinosaur? Triceratops in Jurassic Park when
Oh,
it's dying.
That is very specific, but I like where your head is.
So
Palms. I choose sweaty palms.
Yeah, it's
I think I might have to go palms
They're not like
I think they're
dripping, right? I mean, it's just
because
Because I know people that have that. It's not that bad.
just thinking about the
Paste.
whites. Yeah, I can like taste it.
Yeah,
Rank.
your breath's probably all food bar.
Ugh. All right, yeah, palms. Would you rather suck the white dried spit off the edges of a speaker's lips after a 2-hour talk,
Jesus.
or that's so specific, or suck off the crud that gathers in the corner of a cat's eye?
I would rather never play this game again. Is that an
I bet
is that
you,
an option?
like, I can't wait to be out of these.
Is the
fucking
speaker
games.
male or female?
Oh, that's a good point. We'll say male.
Cat.
Yeah.
I don't know. Bro.
cat's
Can it be my
eye
cat? Can it be my cat? Or
Yeah,
like
right.
some street cat?
It's like some feral cat.
Dude, I choose the dude then.
Or like a
I'm
guy.
thinking about the least amount of risk of disease.
Right.
So if you're saying I have to choose between the speaker is a dude or a feral cat, I would have to choose the dude.
You heard it here first, folks. Mike Stewart.
That's what
Make
I would
out
do.
with the dude as long as it's not a feral
As long
cat.
as you didn't have to touch a cat. Yep. Okay.
I don't
These
know.
are hard ones because the ones you asked me last time are like, this is so easy. Like I would easily choose that.
Every once in a while you get those easy ones, but most of them are more like this. I'll go with the cat. It's a toss up, really. I don't know. They both sound terrible. Would you rather find out that one of your two children is a genius, but the other is slow, or both are average?
I'm gonna go with both are average because
Both
that's
are
kind of
average.
my situation.
Yeah, I'd have to go average. I mean, it'd be cool to have a
How,
genius
hold on, how
kid.
smart's the genius though? Are we
Yeah.
talking Elon Musk?
Yeah, but assume you'd have
How slow is the slow? Like
equally slow.
so slow like Corky from whatever family show that was back in the day.
No. See, I think Corky gets you like Harvard MBA. If you want Elon Musk, you gotta have like a vegetable.
I choose both average.
Yeah, I'm going average. All right, last one. Would you rather, as a man, go to a middle of nowhere gas station, a gas station bathroom, and have no paper available after taking a dump,
That one.
or have a 6'4", 270-pound biker walk up to you while at the urinal and say, "Nice penis"?
I told you.
No, I would take that because that's way worse than not having toilet paper. I mean, toilet paper is way worse than that. Well, so what? The guy says that. Okay, whatever, buddy.
Yeah, they aren't implying that anything follows that.
Yeah.
No, there's definitely an implication there.
No, I'm fighting my way out of that bathroom,
Yeah,
but I'm not fighting my way out of,
and if assuming it's
Fine,
it says
Fine,
middle of
I'm the
nowhere.
pussy, I'll
Just-
take the toilet
just being.
paper. You guys enjoy your biker rape in the truck stop bathroom, okay? You can fucking
Dumb and Dumber.
jujitsu your way out of it until he pulls a 9mm out of his waistband, and you're like, "Well, I guess I should have taken the toilet paper one, shouldn't I?"
No one said he had a gun. You said that.
Guess I can't jujitsu a bullet.
You can't.
You can never get rid of the shame of waddling away from a middle of nowhere bathroom with shit
I
in
will
between your
get rid of that easier than I will the memory of biker rape.
No,
No one said that. You're making assumptions.
The implication.
keep your fantasies out of this, okay?
Don't you fucking judge me.
I'm bullying you now. All right. Well, we've made it through. Nobody died. Nobody was bullied. No feelings were hurt. Well, maybe not. I don't
Little
know.
bit.
We'll see.
I don't think so.
Yeah. Sorry to all the viewers that we heard all your feelings. So
I hope we hurt somebody's feelings.
I'm sure we do fairly often.
A little bit every week.
Anyway, thank you, Tristan, for phoning in as usual.
My pleasure.
Thank you to Mike for stopping in our sweet basement studio here.
Oh, Mike hosts a popular promotion at his gym. Anytime you see him on the street, if he's wearing apparel that has to do with his gym, if you challenge him to a fight, he will take you on right there.
And unless you're a feral cat. In that case, he'll make out with you. But
No,
thank you very much.
Out of your eye.
Oh, yeah, that's what it is. So I think that's a good point to stop. So thank you very much for tuning in for another Last Call podcast. We'll see you all next time on the next Last Call.
See you.